part 3. I'm going to try to do this in under a minute because there's nothing to discuss. The building is still cursed. Okay, people are moving out left and right.
Hold on, before we even talk about that, let's talk about cinematography and how critical it is.
Yes,
to make a movie look good.
We were going to discuss that after I give him the breakdown of the story.
That's fine. Then give the breakdown.
Yes,
then.
Same shit, different day. Building's cursed. People are trying to move out. Even the people that are moving out are fucking dying. Okay.
Okay.
What I didn't get.
And we're talking about. Are we talking about the Chicago building now?
Yes.
Is it
same
totally
building.
focused on that one?
Yes.
Okay.
Solely focused on that. There's a small family, a brother and his 2 sisters. No explanation of why there's no parents involved.
And you know what gets me is, okay, so this Japanese girl, we don't know who she is or whatever, hears about all this stuff like that and hears about something going on in America, and she's going to fly out to America to see what's going on.
Because she thinks she can stop the curse. Allegedly.
Probably doesn't know any English realistically if you understand how they're setting up the character.
What are you talking about? She speaking the good English when she get there.
I know, yeah. It's almost like them speaking Japanese in 2 days.
Yeah. So it's the same thing.
Same
it's
logic.
the opposite. She comes to America and all of a sudden she's speaking great English.
Well,
you do get some cool deaths in this.
What?
Kind of. You got the painted lady. That was kind of cool.
I'll give you that.
Yes.
That was a good scene.
That was a cool scene. Some of them were really fucking terrible. Toshio looks to be about a 14-year-old acting like a 8-year-old.
Yes.
He is so big, and it's not the same kid either. So
yeah.
Let me tell you something real quick that is going to come off really racist, okay? But I have no intention. We have he's practically our nephew. We are so close with these people. He calls me Auntie Llareyna, okay? I have this nephew, quotation mark, that is a quarter Asian. Not even a quarter. He's like an 1/8 Asian. Maybe 40% Hispanic and 40% white, and the rest is Asian, if that even maths.
Okay,
I don't math, okay?
Let's be honest.
This kid looks like Toshio.
Look, hold on. Because there's plenty of Mexicans that are very chinky in the eyes.
Yes, but it's not just the eyes. He looks like Toshio.
Because you could pass as Japanese.
Do I look like Toshio? Can Benicio look like Toshio?
If you start speaking Japanese, someone could mistake you for being Japanese.
Oh, arigato.
Really?
So our quotation mark nephew looks just like Toshio. What I am getting at with this discussion is they could have gotten a child that looked like Toshio.
I want to bring something up real quick. I was debating on whether to include it or not. So watching the Japanese version of this movie, I felt really racist for I want to say half of the movie. I could not tell several different characters apart. Like Hitomi and Rika both look the same to me in several parts of that movie.
It's hard.
It took a rewatch before I could tell the difference between the two of them. And I got online because I'd heard this before and I researched it. Watching the beginning of the movie.
Tell us again how much you hate Japanese people.
I thought I was being super racist because I couldn't tell Hitomi from Rika at all. And I know that this is a thing that I've heard about in the past. So I got online and I found this article, and it talked about how there's these different. They said that basically in your own culture, you're used to seeing the faces of the people who are, or like you because you have to, because of safety reasons, basically, you have to know friendly, from, or, hostile faces for that sort of purpose. And so you get to know really well, be able to define different faces from the people in your own culture. And it's across the board because they did a study and they took Black people, Asians, that's where, and just different race, across the board. And they could tell their own, faces better from their own culture than they could from all the other races. But they figured out that changes if you immerse yourself in that culture. So technically, Llareyna, you would know Japanese faces better having been in that culture, and because you have to, start being able to pick up on different little cues and stuff like that because you're in it.
Well, the whole analogy is super true, because I remember growing up, if you ever grow up in huge, dense Black communities, they always make the comment, all you white people look the same. And I'm serious. It's a very true statement. I used to have Black friends all the time that say that, all you white people look the same. It's just And it's funny they would say that because they're like, well, all you guys look the same. But that's just how it is. And unless you're around a huge group of different, like cultural or groups in general, that whole idea where you can't read the people that very good, their facial expressions, it's very true.
To back this theory up, the other night we were watching a movie. I want to say it was Father's Day. And we were waiting for Noah. I think he went to the bathroom and we were waiting for him to get out. Well, a bearded, bald gentleman in a hoodie walked out, and we started following him, and it was neither my husband nor my daughter's father, who was also the same man. And it's like, he looked like my husband. Like, it was white man, bald, little husky, wearing a hoodie. Like,
they all look the same.
They all look the same. And, my daughter's a little too white to be acting like that, so...
I've got a reverse side of this story. I watched Dog Soldiers the other night, and like several of the characters are like, from the British Isles, and like I swear there was 2 or 3 characters that could have interchanged themselves. Like their facial features are exactly the same, and they were white guys. And I'm just like, okay, it's across the board. I mean, it doesn't really matter.
I haven't seen that movie in so long. Dog Soldier, that's a hell of a good movie.
To further go along with this analogy or this, I don't know. The names. They have different names, but do they? They all sound similar. Kyoko, Takako, Miyoko.
You ever seen that video that somebody made about what English sounds like to all the other people around the world? And it's this dude is this a dude on the phone having a conversation saying a bunch of random English words, and it's hilarious to watch because none of it makes sense, but I can understand if you're a foreigner listening, that's what it sounds like.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Everyone's got their thing. But anyways, okay. So off of this tangent, back to... Oh, go ahead.
And I was just going to say, English is such a bastardized language. It was like French, English, and
Spanish, Portuguese,
German. Yes. Like they combined all of those before they ever even did anything. So, I mean, like, that's why we've got so many different words for the same damn thing.
It's a melting pot of language. Hey, look it. They have 2 words for the grudge in Japanese, need I remind you, okay? I went over that under lore. Okay, so same shit, different day, Chicago building, people dying,
not by gunshots.
Oh my god, the cinema. Shut up. Oh yeah, she's not taking near as many victims. Needs. I mean, she's definitely cleared out an entire building, that's for sure, but whether it's by death or just by fear is to be seen because they don't get into any of that. Just really bad character stories that wouldn't matter even if they gave them more of a backstory. It would not impress me. Same kind of deaths of Kyoko finding a man alone and scaring him to death or actually physically hurting him. The woman in Japan that feels like she can make a change just flat out tells her husband, you don't tell me what to do. I'm going to go make this happen. That doesn't happen in Japan. That's not a thing.
Is that what she told him?
Yeah, she was like, I can make a change. And she's grabbing her stuff to go, and he's telling her, you need to get over it. Like, you were thinking way too hard about this. Long story short, we find out that she's Kyoko's sister, and they go to a scene where they show her watching Kyoko getting the demons fed to her by her mother.
Oh my God.
So she tells the barely there tenants, which is some of the main characters. Is a young girl that's a main character, horrible actress, and then there's a girl who's the main character of this whole thing, also a horrible actress, that she needs to use them in a ritual. Doesn't know these people, by the way. She's just like, hey, I've been coming around the building and I'm thinking about moving in, but I need you to be in a ritual. That's exactly how it is. I'm not exaggerating at all.
You know what scene was actually pretty good? The intro death scene.
The intro death scene?
Yeah, where the kid gets killed.
Yeah, that was the only good death scene.
Well, what about the painting one?
Okay, that was a cool one. But okay, so the kid from the second film that we discussed, who was in the building that witnessed all the weird shit happening, he is now in a crazy home, much like Karen. He's being under watch. He's trying to tell them what's going on. He sounds crazy.
Oh my God. And they had this daughter who has some kind of hit and miss
breathing
situation. It's so inconsistent.
Oh God, it's so
retarded.
bad. it's as inconsistent as us our storytelling right now. Anyways, this kid, he dies a pretty gruesome death by Keiko because nobody would believe him. He's begging them not to leave him alone. Doctor walks away. Nothing bad's gonna happen to you. Surprise! Something bad happened to him. His body. To spoiler alert Stranger Things a little bit, but hey, you're gonna see it and it's really not any different. He gets every bone broken in his body, much like you get from Stranger Things.
Okay.
So that's how he died. Anyways,
the part that sucked with the guy was like a supervisor of the building. He's supposed to be maintaining it. And he got
he's like a janitor or a repairman
building
or
maintenance.
Yeah.
Dude. Yeah, so he was living there, but he has a daughter there, and then his sisters all no, it's not his daughter.
They're both his sisters.
They're both his sisters. My bad. Yeah, but the youngest sister, the one that has the breathing problems, it's such a horrible. Like she can hyperventilate over the littlest things and almost
Playing
die.
with dolls.
But
with dolls, she'll just like.
But her screaming at the top of her head during this critical
and
part
running,
of the movie, yeah,
and
it's fine, no big deal there.
No breathing issues. Just. It was so bad. Anyways, they try to perform this ritual, whatever, unsuccessfully because Keiko shows up. The brother, who has now been possessed by the husband in the original films, obviously, because why not?
Yeah.
He's just walking around the building doing random shit. There's nobody that lives there, but he cannot find the people that he's trying to murder. He's trying to stop the ritual. The sister from Japan who is trying to make this happen, she walks out.
I'm going to tell you right now, this building is so high end that they're in. There's no way there would not be stacked full of people trying to get into it, regardless of what the murder situation was.
It was also run down, though, at this point. You could see the walls look kind of funky.
No, compared to what you can get in Chicago.
Inside, the actual homes, the apartment buildings actually look
high
really nice.
end.
Yeah, they were.
There's no way that those would be vacant.
Think of the brownstone in...
People in cities don't give a shit about murders. So if there's... seriously. So if you...
Not in Chicago.
Rosemary's Baby.
Yes.
Yeah.
The brownstone and Rosemary Baby. Think of the apartments to that caliber.
Yeah, and there's also this horrible part in the movie where the girl has an attack during the critical part and they got to get her to oxygen.
Oh, yeah.
So they go back to the place where the oxygen is supposed to be, but it's all packaged up.
Oh, it's packaged up. It takes 10 minutes for them to get it undone and get it on her, and it takes her 3 seconds to...
Well, my big
Get back
issue
to
is
breathing.
the fact if she has this giant issue where she can just hyperventilate and die in a matter of minutes, why isn't there something ready to give her, like oxygen on? What?
It's like
what
a
are we
sniper.
doing?
It's like a sniper at the top of a building that has a target. He sees the target,
And the magazines,
and then he's like putting the gun together to get the target.
It's like he's a sniper, but there's no bullets in the magazine. The magazine isn't in, and nothing's set up.
Okay, let me get to the end of this because we need to stop talking about this shit show.
It is so bad.
The sister from Japan walks out to lure away the brother who has taken over the spirit, the STD of the dad, and relives the story again. So she falls down.
She walks out and he happens to be there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought he came in and she was trying to get away or something.
No. She was leaving after something had happened with the room or whatever.
Keiko.
Yeah, because I forgot exactly what happened, but she hyperventilated. It was bad. It was so messy.
She gets Tanya Harding right in the knee, so she doesn't actually break her ankle. Okay, she takes a lead pipe to the knee by the STD of the husband, the dad, whatever. And he doesn't break her neck, but he does. It's a cool kill scene, not the best, but he just from behind stabs her right through the trachea.
He takes a sheetrock knife, which if you understand, sheetrock knives aren't the most, they're durable, but they're not super stout. And he punches it through the back of her body, which is there's a lot of bone back there, and it goes through that and then through the middle of her chest area or neck. It's like, what are we doing?
Okay, so now she's out of the picture. The other sister that we also don't care about is, I don't know, getting attacked by Keiko and the brother. I don't know. There's so much fucking going on in this particular time that everyone's dying. That's just like, get it over with. Just die.
Kyoko's going after them, I think, and then she runs into the bathroom trying to hide, and the girl gets out and ends up drinking the blood.
Yes. So the sister from Japan
and
for
this is where you have another
ritual.
issue.
Hold on, wait. Let me talk about the ritual. The ritual was to drink this weird fluid that looked like blood.
No. it was her sister's blood that had died.
Mm-hmm.
Why in the fuck did she have her sister's blood
because
for that long?
It gets to it at the end of the film.
Okay, explain it. I'm listening.
Okay. Part of this ritual was not to stop the badness, which is what she told these people. It was to...
Where'd she get her sister's blood from?
They're fucking all witches, Noah. They were all
Then why is
witches.
she living in a modern mega city?
I don't know.
Her sister's living in a modern mega city.
Both of them are technically.
In a shoehorn fucking apartment. And she just happens to keep her sister's blood on hand.
Heck yeah, she does.
Okay, do you understand where there's issues?
No, not
How
at all,
long
because
has
that's what witches do.
That blood didn't look very old. It looked brand new.
Oh my God, Reverend's over here like, oh my God, I can't even with what's going on. Yeah, so after the sister drinks the blood and it's all over, Kyoko disappears. The brother comes to his senses, but then he gets killed by the now revengeful spirit of the sister from Japan. It's part of the ritual, okay? She kills him by also stabbing him in the throat, I believe, because you see him. Spot. Is it the trachea? Am I saying it right?
Yeah, it's something like
that. Yeah, right in the throat.
In the esophagus.
Yeah, something like that. So, anyways, he's dead. Other sister sees him.
Okay, let's circle back to the blood. How long did she have that blood for?
A long time now.
Okay, did she have the proper means to store it? Did she understand how to store blood?
You don't have to store it.
Yeah, the blood looked brand new. I have an issue with that.
It would have to have anticoagulants in it, or it would have been like just black and completely like just sludge or something.
Okay.
It wouldn't have been.
You understand why I have an issue with this?
It looked
blood
weird.
Clots within like seconds after it's like drawn.
Well,
out
it did look chunky. To be fair, there was chunks in the
no, it didn't.
In the bowl. Yes, it did. It looked chunky. We'll go back and watch it.
Wear your
Anyways,
glasses.
I don't want to. We need to stop talking about this. We need to get to the very end.
No, it is. This is a critical because it's the structure of the story. We need to drink this blood.
What about the story?
How in the fuck did you store the blood?
What about the story had structure except the fucking building they were in? That barely had structure because it was falling apart. It was falling apart worse than this movie was. So, well, excuse me, not worse than this movie. It was falling apart much like the story. That's some good
meta-narrative there.
Yeah.
It's, like
the building was falling apart. Anyways, the very, very end. We know that the sister from Japan is alive. Well, not alive, excuse me. She is now a vengeful spirit. The sister, they're hugging. They've made it. It's okay. Nothing's ever going to hurt them again. The sister gives 2 hugs. She gives one hug to say, I love you, and we're going to be okay. We're going to get this together. Backs away, goes in for another hug. Nothing will ever hurt us. And the sister who drank the blood, which is the youngest one with the breathing issues, now is Kyoko. When she drank the blood, she became Kyoko.
Worst day of my life.
That was part 3. The pros of this movie was that it wasn't that long. The cons of this movie was that I wasted close to 2 hours of my life watching it. The cinematography was horrible. The music was okay.
You think if the cinematography is going to suck, and it's going to suck here and there, that you try to make the story a little bit tighter?
Yes, and they did not use a contortionist by the way. There's no way, because they used CGI and it was very choppy, but not in a scary way.
I don't think they used CGI.
It looked.
The cinematography sucked.
Yeah, that did. Yeah.
Okay, well, if you're doing like a stop still, frame breaks, it doesn't translate good if you do a shitty job with the frame breaks.
It was so horrible. Music was okay. The groan was still there. A couple of cool death scenes, but not worth a whole fucking movie.
Did they introduce any kind of like pop music into it? They usually do that in the third movie of series.
No, there's no new Bobby Brown song to.
They didn't have the budget.
Oh yeah, the budget for this movie was definitely low.
I'm curious.
They couldn't afford Goo Goo Dolls. Then
I'm curious. What is? I'm curious what the budget actually is for.
Oh, okay. Let me see if I can look that up real quick.
Yeah, dude.
Why do I sound so echoey? I feel like I sound very echoey.
It was so bad, man.
Okay, hold
on. So bad.
And
that's why it never made it to theaters. Like you watch, this is something that should have been on like made for TV.
By the way, this
$5
film
million.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And it only made Okay, so, wow. I'm okay. Wait, no, this is Ju-On and Grudge. Never mind. I'm looking for the Grudge 3.
It's Grudge 3.
It didn't. Reverend, where did you get yours from?
Just from Google. It says that it made 1.8 million plus 38 million in DVD sales.
No,
so it made its money back
the whole
eventually.
Franchise. No, that's the whole franchise, I think.
There's no way
this film did not make 38. Yeah, because I saw that too, and I was like, oh wait, it did really well. And then I was like, oh wait a second, that's the whole.
The franchise had to make more than 38 million.
The franchise,
No.
that's DVD
Yeah,
sales
the franchise.
only.
No. This made 38 million in DVD sales after the fact. So
yeah,
it was this movie.
Yeah, so they made their money back.
But in the box office at the theater, it only made 1.8 million, so it lost money in the movies.
This actually went to the theaters.
That's what it says.
Yeah.
Holy shit!
It was.
Dude.
Oh my god! It was just. Oh my god! It was just the worst version of beating a dead horse.
What's the review on it? What's the Rotten Tomatoes say about it?
Hold on, I'm there right now. 4.6 out of 10, just from IMDb.
Oh, they're being nice.
That's IMDb. From Rotten Tomatoes, there's no tomato meter score, but the audience score gave it a 27%.
Yes,
and that's right where I would place this.
Yeah, easily.
So that is The Grudge 3, everybody. I am so sorry that you had to listen to that for so long because, of bouncing back and forth. But
they're critical aspects of the movie.
I'm not saying that they're not, but...
I don't care if the movie's in Fantasyland. We need to be consistent.
Are we going to go into trivia now before we give scores of pretty much the Japanese and 1 and 2 of the American films?
Yeah, we'll go into the ratings after we go into the trivia for the American version, but yeah, we'll go into it.
Okay.
So before filming, the cast and crew went through a ceremony where they were blessed so that nothing bad could happen to them for filming. So they actually went through and did something that a lot of other movies haven't. So I guess that's why there's no curse information, which is funny because it's a curse, but they avoided an actual curse on the film.
That's kind of cool. Didn't they start to do that on the set of The Exorcist because so many bad things were happening? They finally started doing blessings and stuff.
They brought priests in, and they were blessing the set. Yeah, they did all kinds of stuff like that, which is funny because actors come from theater or training, and theater people are very superstitious, so it doesn't surprise me that they wouldn't work that in.
I thought you were going to say idiots.
Well, they're that clearly whenever they open their mouth to speak about politics, but we won't go into that. Unlike the other Japanese horror remakes like The Ring, Dark Water, and Pulse, and One Missed Call, this was the only film out of all the others that actually remained in Japan instead of moving the story to America, which we clearly said that they did later on in the series, but the original movie didn't.
It was spiritually transmitted, so,
Jason Behr met Katie Strickland on the set of the film, and both began dating due to their interest in Japanese culture, which is why they accepted the roles in the film to begin with. And despite not sharing any scenes together, they eventually married 2 years later.
Aww.
So that's
better love story than Twilight.
Yuya Ozeki, Takako Fuji, and Takashi Matsuyama all appeared in Ju-On and Grudge, Ju-On and Grudge 2, the Japanese films upon this were based, and all reprised the roles as the doomed Seki family. So they all came back over and redid the roles.
That is one of my favorite things about this franchise, is that you never really see that, and they're just really good at what they do,
Consistency.
Yeah. It kept consistency. I agree. It helped. The snapping and popping sounds that accompany the appearance of Kayako Seki was made with a hair comb.
How?
I don't know, but that's what it says. That's just weird. The open mouth gasping sound of the ghost was made by director Takashi Shimizu. So
okay, Takashi, tell us.
So that kind of not only is there the death rattle, but there's also, and that's the thing I like about the American version more, is that whenever Kayako appears, you also hear, before she shows up, you also hear almost like she's gasping for breath.
Which, is explained in the films, who, what, where, when, and why, so.
Yeah, she had her neck snapped, so that's the reason she makes the sounds that she does. While filming the infamous shower scene, which we didn't bring up, but this is the movie that everybody freaked out about when it came out because the hand came out of her hair while she was showering. Sarah Michelle Gellar discovered she was allergic to Japanese water as it caused her skin to itch. So as to properly film the scene safely, she was dressed in a black hefty bag from the waist down and a little tube top up top to be able to get. It's the least amount of exposure to Japanese water as possible. It just sounds weird that you're allergic to water of all things.
Well, that's how they treat it, and I don't know if there's something maybe in the treatment of it that affected
Either that,
her.
maybe they didn't treat it that much, and it's more natural, so there's a lot of other stuff that's
I know that,
leaching into
much
it.
like Mexico, you don't drink Japanese tap water, so maybe that's what it was. If that's the case, why not, like, make a fake shower? You know,
I don't know. Why couldn't they have got like Dasani or something and like just imported it and like,
Yeah.
I mean, that wouldn't have jacked their budget up that much.
No, and there's bottled water in Japan that is not Japanese water, so there's American products in Japan. Like, they are big on that shit, so I don't know. Anyways.
Or what they could have done creatively is they could have done the thing where, you know, there's the scene where it shows like the blackened water, you know, that the, you know, in the bathtub whenever the guy's, you know, showing the house off.
Yeah.
They could have turned the water black partway through her taking the shower, and it could have been something else entirely that was, you know, and that she was taking a shower in and done away with, and she'd only been exposed for like a second or two of the water before it turned.
Or you
Just
know
throwing
what?
it out there.
You could have used a body double. I mean, come on. You're telling me there's not a white girl out there that would look like Sarah Michelle Gellar from behind? Calm down. They had a budget for someone to play that for 5 minutes.
On the DVD and Blu-ray commentary, Sarah Michelle Gellar remembers that Jason Barr had previously guest starred on the show Buffy the Vampire Slayer with her, but she did not remember that Clea Duvall, who also appeared in one story, was the Buffy the Vampire Slayer episode Out of Mind, Out of Sight, as a girl who turns invisible. This was because Sarah Michelle Gellar never actually had any scenes with Duvall's character while she was visible, so the actresses never actually met. But it's kind of a slight. They're sitting there talking. It's like, oh, yeah, we worked together. And then Clea Duvall's over in the corner. It's like, bitch, I was on that show. What the fuck are you talking about?
Well, did you ever meet me on set, bitch? Dang, come at me.
At around 10 minutes on their way to the graveyard, Karen and Doug pass 3 schoolgirls on the street, which is a reference to Azumi and her friends, Charu and Miyuki, from the original Ju-On and Grudge. Their storyline would eventually be adopted, like you all said, into The Grudge 2.
Oh, my God.
A sequel, which became The Grudge 2, 2006, was greenlit on the Monday after the surprise success of the first weekend's box office of more than $39 million. Remember, the movie was made for 10, so 39 in the first weekend was already profit.
Oh, my God.
Ticket sales declined by the second weekend, however, by at least 43%,
Whoa.
only earning $21.8 million the next weekend. Despite this, it was still a massive success and became the first horror film to top the Halloween box office since House on Haunted Hill in 1999.
Go back and listen if you want to hear our reviews on that.
Yeah, we have covered that. It would hold the title for the highest grossing first weekend of a horror remake until 2009, when Friday the 13th, starring Jared Padalecki,
Moose,
finally overtook it. Kayako's signature croak, as also referred to the death rattle, comes from the fact her husband snapped her neck, but hadn't killed her, and she was trying to breathe through a broken windpipe. Her stumbles also come from the fact that her ankle broke as she was trying to run away from him. She's covered in blood because he slashed her repeatedly with a box cutter. The scene that implies this was cut from the film to receive a PG-13 rating, and it was restored in the unrated cut. The only film in the American remake trilogy that features Kayako covered in blood is this one. And all subsequent films, she is completely clean with no blood stains. Although in The Grudge 3, which we just discussed, Jake Kimball mentions he saw her covered in blood, even though she's never covered in blood. So there's another reason why that movie sucks. He mentions something that never actually happens in the movie.
Yeah, in the third film, I feel like it was only a few times that she was covered in blood. Like, it was inconsistent, if you will.
Although the house was built entirely on a soundstage for the American version, the actors and cast still had to take off their shoes to enter to be respectful.
Oh, yes. That's a big thing. Even my daughter had questions about that. She's like, why are they doing that? And I'm like, that's a big thing in Japan. Like, that's a big old huge sign of respect.
It's not that we do that in our own house. Why? So you don't track dirt in the house.
In our house, we prefer you keep your shoes on to protect your feet from whatever is residing in our carpets, because our carpet is shit. I hate it.
Well, they claim that people in Appalachia don't even wear shoes.
Yeah,
so
you know.
I like that style.
Takashi Shimizu was eager to work on a remake of his own film as he saw it as an opportunity to improve and fix some of the perceived problems and flaws that were present in the original film, which he did. So that I think that's neat that he got a chance to go back and got a redo on it.
Yeah.
He did not speak any English, and still doesn't. So they had to have a translator on set in order for him to direct the cast and crew who didn't understand Japanese.
Huh. Okay.
In an interview, Katie Strickland said that everybody loved working with the director, as he made the set a surprisingly fun place to be. She said he would often sneak up behind cast members and do the death rattle in a playful attempt to scare them.
I would totally be doing that shit. I'd be so unprofessional.
At around 17 minutes, according to the DVD and Blu-ray commentary by the cast and crew, the first appearance of the cat, right when Karen picks up Kayako's journal, was not in fact a real cat, but it was a fake cat held by a cat crew member racing it in front of the camera. So they basically had a fake cat. They were just sticking in front of the camera at that point.
It was it was Salem.
It was Salem from the Sabrina series.
Oh,
it was that exact
working.
fake cat. No, that's not trivia, folks. We're in our headcanon. That's what it was. Selma Blair was the first choice for the lead role, which ultimately went to Sarah Michelle Gellar. Both previously collaborated on Cruel Intentions and briefly in Scream 2 from 1997. So I wonder if the two hate each other because they were, in contention for the same roles.
I don't know, but what do you make of that? How do you think Selma Blair in reference? I don't know if Sarah Michelle Gellar was working with what she was given, but she was not great.
She wasn't. I'm glad you brought this up because I totally forgot to mention it. She is not a strong actress. I brought this up to you in the comic. She is not the strongest actress of her generation, especially not in this movie at all. I feel like she's kind of like there.
Yeah.
But I've seen better performances from her. Well, I mean, obviously it was later on, in Buffy, but she did. I don't know. I just didn't feel like she really added much to the movie other than the fact that it's Buffy in a movie. That's the thing is
she was a great Buffy, but that doesn't translate well into other films where we need you to be more than the Vampire Slayer.
Somebody that I work with, I mentioned I was doing this podcast, and he brought it up, and he said that she has the worst responses to fear in a movie ever, her scream and just her. And I can't disagree. When he mentioned, I was like, "You're right." I mean, it really is. It really is pretty bad seeing her react to everything. The unexpected success of the American remake of The Ring is what led Sony Pictures to finally having the confidence to greenlight the American remake of Ju-On and Grudge. So it was The Ring that actually, led into this one. Even though they came out the same year, it was kind of they kind of saw the success there and they kind of went along with it. And I must have had a tight turnaround because they got them out at the same time.
Yeah.
Detective Nakagawa is a composite character. Like I said, he's Detective Kenichi Nakagawa from the original Ju-On and Grudge, but his personality and actions are closer to that of retired Detective Yuji Toyama. Like Toyama, he lost his colleagues to the curse and also tries to burn the house down in this film. The film reveals that Kayako got her revenge on her homicidal husband by ripping his jaw off and then strangling him. I don't remember it showing that. This is in this thing, but unless they talk about it, I don't remember seeing it. Toshio's ghost then proceeds, like you said, to swing his hanging corpse in the room, causing loud banging noises.
Mm-hmm.
Although the plot element was not present in the original Ju-On, Takio's death was already seen in Ju-On, the previous film, where he's killed in the streets. It was actually lifted from the original film's sequel, where a similar thing happens to Tomaka and Noritaka, who visited the house in The Grudge 2. And Kayako hangs both of them with her hair. So that's kind of like so I guess that's how he died. But I don't remember. I don't think the film elaborates that very well. They might have got that from.
Yeah. I don't know. I just saw feet hanging, dangling, and you knew that he was hung, whether he did it himself or was hung. And then you see Toshio playing with him like a cat would a dangling toy. So,
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yoko is killed when Kayako drags her into the attic and rips her jaw off. She's the one she's the actual one that Karen is sent there to replace, by the way. I didn't mention that earlier, but she's the one that Karen has to fill in for because she's not called into work for a couple of days. And then either her possessed corpse or Onryo kills Alex, Ted Raimi. This plot element's not present in the original, but it's from where Kana seemingly comes back and kills her mother. Takako Fuji has pyrophobia, a fear of fire, which made filming the ending rather difficult when Karen attempts to burn the house down to finally end the curse. So the Kayako actress is actually afraid of fire. So
wow,
that's not good for her. That, but in the original Japanese, she kept them from burning the house down. So I guess she didn't have to worry about it then.
Well, the house doesn't burn down either, technically, in the first film. So, well, actually, it doesn't burn down at all, as far as we know.
The body count in this one is only 9, which is down quite a bit from the 17 we mentioned in the original. You've got Doug, Matthew, Jennifer, Susan, Detective Nakagawa, Yoko, Peter, Emma, and Alex. 11 if you count the real estate agent Suzuki and Detective Igarashi, who are confirmed dead in deleted scenes, but never actually shown in the movie.
Okay.
Karen is the only main character to survive the events of the film. Peter is also the only character that wasn't killed by the curse. Rather, he committed suicide.
Oh, yeah.
The 3 ghosts in the film were long dead by the events of the film. So this one, it's not like the original Grudge where it's like been semi-close to the original thing happening. This one takes place way after. And I think the 2020 sidequel / reboot, actually, there's a family that moved in right before the family in this film, and then they go back to New York before the curse fully takes effect, and they start spreading it in New York, and that's what that film's about. In case you're wondering what's that?
I said STDs.
Yep, it's spreading all over. In the film, Karen finds Kayako's journal and curiously looks through it, coming upon a torn photo of Peter Kirk slotted inside. While it seems insignificant early on, the film later reveals that Kayako was in the background of the picture the whole time, heavily implying that she had stalker tendencies, which they show later on.
Oh, boy, does she.
So, all right. Time for it. What are our ratings of these movies? I mean, I can't give ratings for the sequels because I didn't watch them, but I can give between the original and the remake, basically.
Are we going with the Japanese one first? Oh, with the original, duh.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't scary, but I'm gonna give it a 3.5, and I'm gonna defend my decision because I think it was the start of something really scary, and it wasn't anything that we had before. And not only that, the movie itself, it had, even though it bounced around a lot, it gave details that you kind of needed for the character storylines itself. Because later on, there's storylines that I could care less about, but it was still scary. So there was a kind of a trade-off. So my official, I give 3.5 corpses.
What about Noah?
The Japanese one, I actually give it a 4 out of 5. The big thing is it set a new type of story and play. Like, what's the one thing that Hollywood always has an issue with? Coming up with an original idea. And I think
true.
I think they did a good job of bringing an original idea. They might not have executed it to the degree to make it a horror, but the idea it came up with was hella good.
I'm going to rate it a little bit less than you guys. To me, it's a 3. I mean, it's not an average movie by any means, which is why I'm giving it a 3. I think it's the lore that picks it up, just like you all were talking about. It's something new, and I like what they worked into it. I just feel like when you go back and watch it, especially versus the American version, you can tell that it's more. He's, the director is kind of an amateur. At that point, he's worked on it a couple of times and he's improved it from the previous, direct to video films. But he's still not quite, gotten. I mean, it's still got kind of a cheaper look to it based on the, what they had to work with, and there's certain elements that don't work as well. So that's kind of, to me, it's in a 3 rating. But I do like the lore that was created around it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So what are your thoughts about the American version?
To me, they're 5 out of 5.
Both of them?
Yeah, the 1 and 2, yeah.
Okay. Anything to elaborate on that, or?
No, they did an amazing job of building the tension of what you should get out of a horror movie. There's a lot of scenes that you don't quite know what's going to happen. Like, sometimes you get the horror movies, you can almost identify what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
This movie did a really good job of making it hard to identify what was going to happen a lot of times.
Yeah. It's, I don't know. I'm going to go with a 4 for number 1 and a 4.5 for number 2. They were both scary. I mean, these things had me. You heard me today. I was having a hard time recording the fucking groan because I was like, oh, fuck, dude. Like, I don't want to listen to this, you know? They did a good job, you know, just bringing it to America, literally, and in the movie, you know? So, while I could sit and pick apart some things, the ultimate goal of this movie was to go and watch it and to be scared. The hard part was that I really, really liked the storyline, and this is why they're not 5s for me, is because, yes, it took the storyline and it kind of, sometimes it even took it a little further, gave it a little bit more to go with. But something about that original lore that just, you know, sticks with me and makes it that much better. And I don't know. I really don't feel like the American characters really did that great of a job, but they also, like I said, they kept it scary. They tried to keep it consistent. It's a good movie.
I thought Sarah Michelle Gellar did a pretty good job for the role she played.
I mean, she definitely played a Karen very well.
In that movie, I thought her character came out good.
She was way better in the second film. I'm not saying that because she died. I'm saying she was a lot more convincing in the second. And it was almost sad that her character didn't last longer because she had better emotion in the second film. She emoted a lot better than she did in the first film. So
that could have been. I mean, just thinking back on it, though, the fact that Takeshi never, didn't speak, English, that might have been able, a little bit harder for her to get what, he couldn't get out of her what he might have wanted as far as like her, like acting too, and that might have played a part.
I call bullshit. He had translators.
Okay. Lost in translation.
So, yes. Anyway, so, yes, a 4 for the first one and a 4.5 for the second.
Yeah, I just I viewed the movie in its entirety. I mean, the actors were good, but all the other parts of the movie really carried it for the most part. The way the story is structured, the lead up, the build up, the tension, all these unknown factors made it really, and it was a tangible threat. That's what made it really good too.
I waver on the American one between a 3.75 and a 4, and it just depends on the day, really, because I got through watching, I thought a 4, and then I thought about it, and it went down a little bit. But I think that's just being nitpicky. I'm more probably settle on a 4 just to give it that. But I mean, it's a definite improvement, obviously, to me over the original, like 3 versus a 4, whatever. Just the all the things we covered, the lighting, the music. I mean, you could tell that the director took what he knew worked for the original. He made it better in the second one, especially the story, the way that it came across. It was a lot easier to gel together in one sitting versus having to go back and watch it multiple times. The only thing that kind of like limits it a little bit for me is the fact that it's missing some of the creep factor of the original movie, like I said, where there's like things happening in the background more often that they don't really that stand out as much. And I think they could have added those in, plus the way that they did the original movie, and it wouldn't have taken away from it as much.
Yeah.
And there's by the end of the movie, I feel like they showed Kayako just a little too much.
Yeah.
I hate to say that, but when she's coming down the steps, like that scene takes a little too long. It shows a little too much of her, and like it takes the mystique out of that character.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like she works better and quick, punches or whatever, versus just like, slowly, doing the Reagan spider walk down the staircase type situation.
Yeah.
It's creepy, but I mean, I think they should have cut away a little bit quicker than they did in that, just so that it didn't linger as much. Cause I don't know. The more you see, it's just like, that's my same reason why I think, Ethan Hawke was fine in Black Phone the way he was, because the less you see of the monster, the more impact it is whenever they come back. There's your mind can create more, fill in the gaps a little bit better that way. And you don't have it just, whatever they're giving you on the camera that way.
Well, yeah, and not only that, the longer you get to look at her, it's almost like the less scary she becomes.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
100%.
that was one of the biggest issues in the third installment, besides that thing just being hot garbage, is that they showed her a lot. And her... Noah and I are definitely going to rate that after we finish this. So, you didn't get to rate the second one though, huh? You're not.
I didn't watch it, so I can't rate the second one.
You know what? For shame.
But I might go back and watch it now. I just always assumed that it wasn't, like it just never, I mean, I don't know, at the time I never got into it. And just for this, we were mainly comparing the Japanese versus the American. So I didn't, go into it.
It definitely makes sense. Babe, number 3. Number 3, my lord.
A 1.
A 1? Wow. He's being a lot more generous than I am because I'm giving this thing a half. I got up literally and walked out so many times to go do other things. I was like, I literally got up to go outside to fill up a water mat that I got for my dogs so they could play in it. Because this movie, it was so horrible. And not only that, like I said, they showed her a lot in the second one, and her makeup was terrible. The porn parody makeup was way better.
You know what they could have added to that movie and made it better? A scene where the main character is talking about queefs, because as we've realized from the female Ghostbusters, that improves everything.
Oh my God, number 3 was just terrible. It was the extension of this series that we did not need. Like I hear really bad things about the 2020 version, and I don't know if you read any reviews about it. They're like, it was
pretty bad, yeah.
Yeah, they're like, it's just over. We're over it. Like, it's just too much. Like, they didn't do anything different. And it's like, well, I mean, they tried to do something a little different in 3. I can't tell you which one would be better, but I can tell you it wasn't worth the time. Yeah, there was a couple kills, but I mean, I'd rather see like quick clips. Like, you know how you go on YouTube, you're like, best death scenes in this movie. Just break it down. Like,
they would have been better off, instead of making the Grudge 3, to start a whole new Grudge timeline in America.
I think they were trying to do that with the fact that now she has a sister. It just didn't stick.
Yeah, but I'm not saying though. Remove the whole entire Japanese aspect from it and just make it an American thing.
Which they could have done, because technically there was an American Kyoko at the end of the second movie, which I thought was cheesy as fuck. But it works. It made sense. Now you have this person that has been consumed by this curse, and now she's going to continue it. So it makes sense.
I've got a question for you. Would Busta Rhymes and being included in the movie and killing Kaiko at the end of it have improved it? Because a lot of people say that's the best part of Halloween Resurrection.
Oh my God!
Only
if he says Busta Rhymes when he does it, like he is a Busta Rhymes.
The only way to improve both those movies is to throw them in the fire.
Oh my God, dude!
Bad.
Burn the house down with a movie inside of it. That's what you need to do.
Pretend we never made it.
Oh, waste of my life. Now I will briefly touch on, before we end, the show or whatever, that there is a series available on Netflix, and it did get a lot of attention, both good and bad. Good because it's got a really good storyline. You're talking about, it's all in Japanese. You're gonna have to have subtitles on. And it does break it down by each character in different episodes. So it's kind of like the first few movies where you get, this person's story, blah, blah, blah. But the negative attention it got, the first thing I read about this was how horrific the rape scene is in the first episode. And I'm going to go with it was not horrific. Rape is horrific in itself, but we've seen it in movies before.
If you watch it, then they didn't watch the series, if that's the statement they're making. Because if you watch the series, the whole idea of her being raped kind of falls apart.
Yeah.
It's like she was intentionally doing that.
There was something, yes, but you kind of, if you paid attention in the first episode before the rape happens, there's something you can infer that this wasn't horrific like they made it out to be.
It's not even that after the fact.
I didn't see the after. I kind of saw bits and pieces of the next few episodes.
But the girl's life's already fucked up.
Oh yes.
So she was using it as a position to take the guy and use him as a tool to help kill her mom.
Yes. So it almost it's like it's a horrific way of female empowerment, if you will.
Oh God.
Yes, and it's not only that. There's the scene. I found this to be hilarious.
She blackmailed the dude. She let it happen. Then she used all the evidence to blackmail him.
She also fucked the girl over because the girl. Okay, he had a girlfriend, and the girlfriend was the one that they took her to this house. She was one of the teenagers. She's new to the school. The girl that gets raped, by the way, the quotation mark victim. She's new to the school, and they're like, "Hey, do you like cats? We're gonna go look at cats at this fucking haunted house, whatever." That's how it happens. There's a guy there. The guy's girlfriend is the one that. Basically, she had him rape this girl. But as it turns out, after they end up leaving the house, the girl that got raped gave her a dirty look like, I just took your man, bitch. Like, I thought it was hilarious because he was walking her home. She was so scared because she saw Kyoko and I don't know. Okay, we don't need to go into that because it is the same story. But she convinces the guy she's so scared and needs him to protect her. And he does it. He leaves his girlfriend and goes and takes his rape victim home. And
No.
That's not what happened?
He didn't take her home.
Oh, he just... It's inferred that he walked her home.
No, she asked him. He's just like, no. And he just left. No, but she ends up getting him into the blackmail later on.
Yeah. So, anyways, the series, for the first, 2.5 episodes that I was involved with, worth watching, in my opinion.
Okay. I think it's pretty good.
So, a lot of sex in it. Weird Japanese sex. We're talking 2-3 pumps.
It doesn't make any sense because the movie takes place in the 80s. And the Japanese culture was very, very over the top conservative.
Oh, yes.
Still. So to see all the young kids at 18 or whatever, 16, partying at a disco is like this feels way out of place.
Yeah,
but whatever.
I'm not the only one thinking this. So when you say over the top Japanese sex, is there tentacles involved?
No. It wasn't over the top. It was just. Their portrayal of sex is funny. It's very comedic because it's like he's just on his like pump. Oh, I came. Like I was laughing. I was like, oh my God. There's nothing sexual about it. Like if my kids had seen it, they would have been like.
So he's a 3-pump chump. Is that what you're trying to say? He
gets
4. One past the 2.
Well, he rapes the girl, then he turns around and has sex with his girlfriend afterwards.
Which also looks funny. Like it's just him on top of the couch just like doing these weird pumps again. It doesn't look like sex. I would not want my kids to see this, not because I wouldn't want them to see something sexual. I don't. That's a hard no for movies. But also I don't want them to think that that's what sex is. That's not how sex works.
That's not how sex works?
That's not how it looks at all. So, anyways, so that's all I have to say about that. But yeah.
Go see the TV show. It's on Netflix. It's actually pretty good.
Yeah, it's way better than some of the films.
You know what I like about the TV show? You probably didn't pick it up because you weren't paying attention.
Yeah,
but
I was over the whole series.
If you listen to like the TVs and the radios going on in the background, they're talking about all the weird shit going on.
Yeah. Which is a nice, good fucking...
Okay.
Yeah, but if you're not paying attention, you'll miss it all because it's subtitles.
No, I know.
So you
subtitles.
have to be reading it. What's going on?
I did read that.
Yeah, there's moments where different weird shit's happening, but if you listen to it, they talk about different murders coming up, and it's not so much by the ghost, it's by like fucked up people.
Yeah. Well, you don't quite know because like in the first episode. When the girl comes home before the mom's like, you seduced your father and blah, 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 all the weird shit happens. It's on the news. They're talking about weird shit that's going on. So
yeah, there's like a scene where this guy, he's driving in a car with this kid and he's playing some weird shit on the radio. And the kid pulls the cassette out and then he pulls over and he beats shit at the kid. You're like, wow, that's wild.
Yeah. And
why would he beat his kid? And then if you're paying attention to it, no, the guy was picking up kids and murdering them, and that happened to be one of the kids he picked up.
It's pretty cool. They have it's lots of detail, but it's just good. I don't know how else to say it without giving away too much stuff. So
I like that whenever films and TV shows do that in the background, because that's one of the benefits that TV and film has versus like other mediums, is that they can show you the story in the background and fill in the gaps where just visually or through just audio cues or something. So that's neat when they do that.
And not only that, watching this was a little bit of a refresher. Now, granted, I had watched part 3 right before we started watching this, so maybe that was just I needed a palate cleanser. So take that in mind. But even though they had, bits of the story that was intertwined with what you're seeing on the series, it didn't feel like same shit, different day.
Well, this is it's like a prequel. It's a prequel leading up to all these different scenarios.
It's a
prequel, and there's different ghosts, is what it is, like different, because you're interacting in different, because it's Origins is what it is.
Oh yes, it's called Origins.
Okay.
Yeah, gotcha. So basically you have different people that died under those circumstance scenarios is what it is.
And I realized we did not discuss. We just said the Grudge series on Netflix. It's called The Grudge Origins. Or Ju-On Origins. Is it Ju-On Origins? Okay. So anyways, that's it.
It's a good watch.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm just going to do a quick shout out before the plugs to Emilia that I work with. She's deathly afraid of the death rattle. So there you go. Enjoy this. And what kind of plugs do you all have?
Nothing. The usual. Hey, Hot Mess Express just came back for a show. It was my birthday show because Llareyna hit 40,000 years. So, you know, there was a small celebration, of course. And I won't say that it's anything consistent. Gas is a little cray right now. At least one of the girls won't be able to make it as frequently. So I don't know how often we're going to be doing shows, but and then of course Blue Collar BS, which is where Death Holler first made its appearance. They are on every Friday nights, 8 p.m. ish California time. I say California because you know
We're live.
yes, they are always live. So you can catch them if you want to do that. And then Death Holler, we just try to come to you, you know, at least monthly with whatever show. Because currently, right now, we are in the ghost season. Haunted, what is it? Haunted Hearts and Haunted Homes?
That or the reverse. It's close enough. Yeah.
Tomato, potato.
Phone it in.
Haunted homes and haunted hearts is what I say.
You know what?
Yeah,
Listen to the disclaimer and you'll hear me say it, okay?
And the next movie that we'll be covering is obviously Ringu and the Ring. I've already watched the American version, and I have some thoughts that I've already shared a few with Llareyna off air, but
Yes.
we'll get into that. Just a little tip to people: when you go to hire people for actors in your movies, make sure that they can pass off being regular folks. I mean, and I'll leave it at that until we get to the full discussion. Some people in Hollywood maybe are too pretty to be just considered everyday people. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Oh, that was so funny.
And with that, peace be with you.
And with your spirit.